Hey guys, this is Yoda. In this video, we'll talk about how to tank Grim Batol. We'll be watching a video of my most recent run, 16 with my group. This is our comp. I'm playing Paladin. We're not going to talk too much about the route, so we invis the first 3 packs so we can do a bigger pull at the start. It's not really bigger, it's just the second pull is bigger, I think. We're skipping more stuff later and playing, I think, double ogres, but it's not too important for the video. So for this first pull, there's 3 dangerous things you need to worry about as a take. So there's the Rive from the Overseer, that's number 1. And there's the Umbral Wind from the Dragon, actually does a lot of damage to the tank. And these brutes also do a Brutal Strike. The Umbral Wind is spell blockable. The Rive cannot be parried or blocked, and the Brutal Strike can be parried and blocked. So realistically, what that means for us is we're going to try to have spell block up for Umbral Wind usually. Also, we're going to be doing a cooldown rotation on Rive. Brutal Strike, there's like 3 of them, and so it kind of happens way too often to actually do a cooldown rotation. So we're just going to be making sure we maintain base mitigation from Barricade of Faith, our 25% parry from Strength and Adversity, and whatever cooldowns are running for the other stuff will also be running for us on the Brutal Strike. So we start with Ardent. It actually procs from the Rive plus the Umbral Wind, so we use Guardian shortly after. This Guardian, I think, is not necessary, but it's better to be safe than sorry, and I know I'm not going to need it for the next pull, so kind of just sent it here. For this Rive, usually I just do first one is Ardent, second one is Bubble. So we Bubble second. Bubble also bubbling the second one also kind of lines up with Reckless Tactics. It means it's not up here for the Umbral Wind. I think I probably should have used Eye of Tear here, but I used it like super late. He like knocks you back and then I tear, so that's a mistake. Should have been Eye of Tear first before the knockback, but it's Lust. We have a lot of damage, so it's all good. We live anyway. The Rive, by the way, isn't scary by itself. Like, it won't one-shot you like by itself, but it increases the damage you take. Which is why we have like our cooldowns lined up with the Rive to counter that. But when it's this mob alone, you can save cooldowns. Like, you don't need to cooldown a Rive when it's just him, because he won't one-shot you. So we start the next pull. It's 3 brutes, 3 casters, and the Overseer. We're going to be Ardenting on pull again for the Rive. Probably should have used Holy Bulwark here at some point, so that's a mistake. And notice here, I have no cooldown for the second Rive, so I think I called for a PS, but I wanted it on the second Rive. I don't know, I probably misspoke. So now I realize I'm going to have nothing for the Rive. Fortunately, after the Paladin rework, we do have another cooldown called Lay on Hands. Not the most ideal cooldown, but you'll see we use it here. So ideally, this second Rive, either Bubble would be up or it would be PS here. But since I don't have anything, I use Lay on Hands. So it should be Rive, and then I should be like, oh crap, instant Lay on Hands. Then we have Imperial Armor to kind of counter it. And Tear is also back, so not the end of the world, but yeah, definitely should have played better. Also, I should have used the second Secret Weapon here, but I misplayed. I guess I end up using it, but not during Wings. So yeah. Third Rive. Let's see what I use here. Oh, third Rive is just Bubble, it seems. Basically, your priority system is Ardent first, as always, and then Bubble second, and then third is like get creative with either Tear, Guardian, or Spell Warding, depending on what you're fighting. Also, in the first pull, we did Spell Ward the Enhanced Shaman just for higher uptime, since that spec does ridiculous damage right now. Alright, so this guy dies, we fly on the dragons. When you're on these dragons, try and hit this 5-pack, and then there's also a patrol we'll show in a bit. You fly past this patrol. If it lines up with this dragon or this 3-pack, you want to use your ones on that. Otherwise, just spam 2. Okay, so the next pull is 3 casters plus the bridge, which makes it 4 casters. And it's the same old 1 Overseer plus 1 dragon. Or at the first buster. We're probably going to be bubbling the second one. I assume it's going to come up. We actually Guardian the knockback here from Umbral Wind. It's actually pretty important to cool down the Umbral Wind, otherwise you can get one shot there. Especially with the Reckless Tactics on it. Here we don't bubble for some reason. I probably would have bubbled if I did this again on the Rive. Oh, okay, we just go I have Tear into bubble for fun, I guess. So yeah, that's a mistake. Probably should have just been bubble, no Tear. Now it's just the Dragon and the Overseer, so we can't get one shot. Ideally, I would have bubbled the first one and tiered this, but again, like, if it's just the Overseer and there's no brutes, then you probably won't die to just Rive. As long as it's not like Rive plus Umbral Wind with no cooldown, you should be fine. Third Rive here, it's again, can tank it with no cooldowns. I could have used Lay on Hands here, but like no real need since I'm LOSing the Wind. If I wasn't LOSing, I probably would have used Lay on Hands there. Okay, another Rive, he dies before it matters. Now we're on to the first boss. So this boss is infinitely easier with an Evoker in the group, using Cauterizing Flame off cooldown, because the bleed does actually hurt quite a bit. So basically our plan is we're going to use Caud on the first bleed, Also notice I'm kind of bringing the boss to the sides whenever we do a drop. Here, I'll go over this again. So the fight starts, we immediately bring the boss over to the edge. So we're naturally dodging here. And I'm like pinging here to drop the rock spikes. So basically you want to drop these rock spikes along this wall or that wall, but not this wall. This wall is like, if you drop along this wall, you're basically covering a lane. You can kind of drop it like on the edge and it's okay. But the ideal drops, I think, are on this wall and that wall, not this wall, if that makes any sense. So you're not fully covering a lane with your drops, you're just covering the side of all the lanes. Anyway, tangent. So for the tank mechanic, if you have an evoker, it's like immeasurably easier. You just caught every third one. And then also you're a paladin, so you can also bubble a bunch of them. If I was playing no evoker, I would probably be playing Bop just for this boss too. Anyway, so we caught the first one. Notice we bring him to the side again. Second one is going to be bubble. You notice I bubble after I get 3 dots. I think if you bubble at 2 stacks, it's okay. And that's so the bubble lasts for the commanding roar. This roar actually hurts quite a bit. Especially if you have tempered in battle and then you have a sacred weapon out. You can like tick down and kill someone. You can kill someone else like with your temper, and you can also die to your temper. So make sure you bubble a bit late into the bleed so it also covers the roar. In its general rule, you want your cooldowns to be covering the roar too. However, we do have an evoker, so we haven't even had to play a bleed yet. We caught it the first one, bubble second. This will be dwarf third. Still don't have to play a bleed. Fourth one is going to be caught again, I believe. Yeah, we caught it this one. The roar actually hits me quite a bit, even without the bleed on me. Okay, so the 5th bleed is the first one that we actually have to play, since dwarf, bubble, and caught are all down. If you have a little bit more haste, maybe I could have bubble here, but whatever. So we ardent the application. I think this might actually be a mistake, because I'm going to end up using Guardian here probably. Okay, I decided not to use Guardian. So this is another way to play it. I use Ardent plus Lay on Hands. I think if I were to do this again, I would say the boss is pretty low, so I could use Guardian here. But my default is just Ardent, but Ardent is like not that strong against the bleed in particular, so Ardent plus Lay is enough, but I think if I did this again, I probably would have used Guardian there. So that was the 5th one. Now we're on the 6th bleed, we're going to bubble again. Bubble, we bubble late. Notice we are bringing the boss near the edge. Or like the sides, I guess. I don't know which one. Edge, side is like hard to describe because it's a square. Okay, and then the 7th bleed is just caught. Because, you know, 1, 4, and 7 are all caught. Then the 8th bleed, I think we had to play again. Let's see, yeah, this is going to be the 8th bleed coming up. So we want to like have cooldowns for the next pull, so I think this one I just ardented late. Yeah, I knew I was going to have to ardent this one, so I ardented late. On the roar. In theory, I should use it here. Yeah, I ardent late for the roar. And I'm also sacking someone too. Alright, so then we're on to this pull. This is probably the hardest pull for an average tank in the dungeon. However, we are playing Prot Paladin, so you're going to watch me make some massive mistakes and it's still going to work out. So one important thing about this pull is we do have breath. We actually don't have shaman cooldowns, so it's going to live a little bit longer than usual. So we pull these Flame Raiders up to this golem. So for the interrupts, I have my group kick triangle and square, and then I'm on the Earth Caller and the Beguiler. It's like pretty tough for me to do while I'm rotating cooldowns, but you know, obviously it is doable because we did it this time. I'm not gonna use any cooldowns until the first Shadow Flame Slash is happening. So here it is, Shadow Flame Slash, and I notice I have no cooldowns except Spell Ward, since I used them at the end of the last boss. So we're gonna start with Guardian here. Guardian and PS. This is like probably not necessary, but I was feeling pretty scared of the Ardent, so I'll just ask for it. Also kind of important is that your group doesn't stop the first Shadow Flame Slashes if you're planning to cooldown them. Basically, I think the best like way to do it would be to cool down the first one, because if you notice, the first Shadow Flame Slash is cast like all the way over here, right? So I need to use my cooldown anyway. Then the second Shadow Flame Slash, we should probably let that happen. before using AoE stops, so my Guardian is actually lasting. If this was AoE stopped, then I would have been taking the next one basically naked or with tier, or we've had to use a cooldown way too early, so it's better that it happens before any AoE stops. If my group had AoE stopped here, I probably would have used Spell Ward on the next one. But yeah, so we Guardian plus PS the opener. Here he's Lava Fisting me, and I have Guardian, so I probably did not need to push the Spell Warding yet, but I just push it. I would say that's an error. This could have been Guardian plus tier if I was really scared, but I decided to Spell Ward. I'd say that's an error. If the pull had lived too long, then that could have been punished. The next cooldown is going to be Bubble, most likely because it's up now. So we bubble the next Shadow Flame Slashes. Surely. Okay, I decided to try to get by the first one with Ardent. And then surely bubble. Okay, and then we bubble the second one. Honestly, it probably should have just been bubble straight up instead of Ardent into bubble. That's what we did there. Like I said, I made a few errors in this pack and we overlapped a bunch. And I think we're about to get punished here. This Shadow Flame Slash. Oh, we stopped it. So here's where I'm like, okay, I made an error, guys. We need to kill these mobs before they kill me. So yeah, here you'll notice since I overlapped a bunch of cooldowns, eventually on the third set I would have run out, but we killed them. Ideally, just don't overlap cooldowns like I did. I mentioned the errors I made. So now we're down to just this guy. So if you have 100% spell block, if you don't know how to get that, it's 9400 mastery with a shaman or 10,600 I think without. And then you need to put up both block buffs. There's another video on the channel talking about that. But if you have 100% spell block, Lava Fist shouldn't one-shot you, depending on the key level / your comp. So we're in a 16, we have a priest. I asked for like 1 shield. And then I have 100% spell block. It actually almost kills me, so I would say make sure you have a shield or a rescue. So then we finish him off. Next we're on this guy. So there's no slashers here. We don't need to use any major cooldowns, but I'm still going to use like Ardent and Tier, I think, on the Lava Fists. This is Molten Wake. I just Ardent this Lava Fist for safety. Like, you can try to get by with 100% spell block, but if you have Ardent up, I don't see a reason not to just slam it, especially at the start of the pull. Second Lava Fist, I think, is Tier plus block. Surely I use the shield here. Yeah, I'll use a shield in time, and then we have Tier plus spell block. Third Lava Fist, nothing's happening. I think we used Holy Bulwark. Yeah, Holy Bulwark plus 100% spell block. Except the Faith in the Light fell off, so I could have died. Unlucky. But yeah, basically, you want to use your cooldowns, ideally, when there's, like, Giant plus a bunch of mobs, and when it's Giant alone, 100% spell block plus, like, an Absorb from your healer or your Evoker should be fine. So here we get rescued. And PS, which is crazy. I don't know about that PS. And we survive that. Next pull is double Flame Render plus Boss with Lust. This is kind of why I was using, like, the cooldowns I wouldn't want to ask for earlier. Like, when we're just fighting one Giant alone, I asked for, like, Rescue or Priest Shield. Didn't really want PS, but yeah. So this PS would have been good here. So this is Earthcaller, double Flame Render with the Boss. I think we Ardent the first hit. So Ardent alone is going to survive the Tank Buster itself, but then, like, the dot is going to be dangerous. So Ardent alone shouldn't be enough. I think I used Ardent plus Lay, which is enough. I still have 2 dots on me, but I'm holding Bubble for the second Flame Render hits because I don't want to use Spell Warding. I don't have Spell Warding, and I don't really want to use Guardian when Bubble's available. If you were feeling really unsafe here, you could, like, Ardent plus Guardian the first set, and then Bubble the second and hope there's no third. Earlier, I think I massively overlapped, so this time I, like, just tried to play for a third, and then we didn't even get a second, so I just bubbled air, basically. But that is okay. Also, one thing we noticed on this boss, the very last melee of the Axe phase can be a double hit that hits really hard that one-shots you. Also, another thing, this Molten Flurry, you can LOS. If they ever fix this, then you will want to cool down the Molten Flurry. But I LOS it and it just doesn't happen at all. The Mace, obviously we are kiting One thing worth noting with cutting the mace, if you cut it along the edge of the room, like where my mouse is right now, then it won't cover the entire room. But if you cut him down the middle, then it will cover the entire hallway. So we cut him along the edge here. Also kind of nice to keep him along the edge if you're LOSing the Molten Swords. Before his axe, he does cleave. I don't know if it's here or later in the key, but I do get one shot. So the last melee before Molten Swords is the one that can double hit. Okay, I think I just parried and I got lucky. Because I actually wasn't aware of that hit in this video. Or in this key when I was doing it. So he does Molten Flurry again, we LOS it. If I wasn't LOSing, I would just tier it and then, like, you know, 2 Word of Glories or maybe use Guardian as well. Could also work. Okay, mace, and then we keep cutting along the edge of the room. Nice for next. I'm pretty sure this is where it happens. Okay, fiery cleave. Yeah, I died. Fiery cleave. So I didn't even think I was in danger at all. But apparently there's just a double melee at the end of the axe phase, right before the swords. So that's cool. Obviously, if I have Consecrate and all my block buffs up, I should live there. Or any cooldown at all. But I didn't even realize it was a damage event to be scared of. Now you guys will know too. So this Flurry, I tier it just in case I don't get the LOS off. But we do LOS. The boss is on a 1 minute phase timer, so I have tiered every Molten Flurry works out. He's Forging Mace, and we're kiting him. We end up not having to turn around, but you'll notice, like, since we kited him along the edge, there's like a little swath of land you can go through, or you can play in if you wanted to. Okay, so we finished the boss. Now we get to some of the harder parts of the dungeon. Well, I guess the second boss room is kind of hard. So this pull, we do these 3 casters: Flame Render, Enforcer, and Lava Bender. So as a paladin, we're going to be trying to interrupt as many times. At least for our group, I'm interrupting the Beguiler. The rest of my group is responsible for the Warlocks. And these 3 mobs do a lot of damage to us, and the Lava Bender also does a lot of damage to the group. The Lava Bender doesn't have like a telegraphed damage or anything, but his melees actually hit really hard. After 50, the AoE pulse is hurting you a lot. It's also taking your healer's attention away from you. This Enforcer has a stacking Enrage. Every time he melees you, he starts meleeing faster. It goes up to 10. At 10 stacks, it starts really hurting. Like, I would say at 5 stacks, it starts really hurting. You can break his stacking by either kiting him so he can't melee you, or stunning him so he can't melee you. Also, Sue's work on him. Then there's our favorite mob, the Flame Render. So that is the mob we will be using our cooldown rotation on. For the Enforcer, it's kind of just like kite / heal through / block / stun him. Also, since there is a Lava Bender in this pull, we're generally going to be like way more inclined to use strong cooldowns like Guardian or longer cooldowns. Anyway, we start off with Ardent on the slash. It actually gets stopped, which is kind of tilting, even because we went over it beforehand, not to stop the first slash. Since it gets stopped, we use Eye of Tear. I think Tear actually fell off for that, so we used Guardian. We actually the first Flame Render getting slash actually cost me 3 cooldowns, so if you're playing with a tank, make sure not to stop the first slash if they're not expecting that. So yeah. We triple cooldown the first slash since it got interrupted over and over. That's okay because we're playing Paladin, so we have infinite cooldowns, I guess. This is also a pull where we have both DPS cooldowns. We have Breath and Ascendance. I bubble, since we use 3 cooldowns on the first one, we bubble the second one, and then he dies before the third, since we have all our cooldowns. If he would have gotten a third slash off, like notice how I'm looking at his health here, and it's very, very low. If his health was higher, then I would have spell warded the second slash and bubbled the third slash. And that's because with Light's Revocation, you can bubble on Forbearance, but you cannot spell ward on Forbearance. So if he had gotten a third slash here, then I would have had to either like LOS it by kiting or ask for an external. We do have double PS, so I probably would have just asked for the next PS if he got a third one off, but he doesn't get it off, I think. Yeah, he doesn't get it off, so it's fine. We also do have Ardent back, so I could have done that as well. So the next pull we do is kind of a break pull, both for me and the group. It's just a bunch of interrupts with an Enforcer and a Warlock. Don't know why I'm taking so long to pull this. Probably waiting for tier, I guess.
or not deer, toll. This Enforcer is kind of scary because I'm trying to do this pull basically with no cooldowns. Like I send an Ardent at the start since it'll be up. Could also tier if I wanted. But I'm trying to do this pull without any major cooldowns, which means I'm gonna end up kiting this Enforcer, I think, because 5+ stacks, if you're just tanking him, he probably will like fuck you up if you have no cooldowns at all. So yeah, I'm already kiting him. Somehow he still melees from that far away, so we hodge to drop stacks. Then towards the end of the pull, we're just cutting him out. And he dies. Alright, so this pull is an actual hard pull. We have a Flame Render, an Enforcer, and a Lava Bender. Notice like the routing is kind of set up that way. So like we have an easy pull, and then a hard pull, then an easy pull, then a hard pull. So first slash, we use Ardent. It actually does an unreasonably high amount of damage. So I use Lay on Hands here, I think. Yeah. We did still have the cheat death up from Ardent, so I don't think I would have died even if I was a little bit slower, but yeah, it's a good time to use Lay on Hands. Next slash will probably be Bubble. Since I don't have wings or anything, and I'm playing to Bubble the next slash, I'm kind of like backstepping a little bit so this Enforcer doesn't hit me too much. But it's not super important, so we Bubble for the next Shadow Flame slash. If he got a third one, it would have been Guardian, but he doesn't get a third one because we have double cooldowns again. Here I'm like kind of debating if I want to use Hodge on the Enforcer or just delay the Flame Render. I think I end up hodging him, yeah. So since I hodge him when he's low so he doesn't get a third slash off. If he had gotten the third slash off, we would have had to use PS or a Guardian, but I just hodge him instead. Honestly, we kind of did this whole area so far without using PS at all, so I probably could have just asked for PS and then hodged the other guy. But we play it like this. Okay, so the next pull is kind of an easy pull. It's only one Flame Render. Since there's no other mobs that really hit me, I can kind of tank this guy with just Spell Block. This is the first one of the pull. I always start with Ardent, so we Ardent. The next slash, I think, is going to be Tier, if I had to guess. Yeah, so we Tier with 100% Spell Block. Doesn't kill me. Then we're able to beat the pack with no major cooldowns. I think we were planning to chain this Lava Bender into that pack, but now it's like next to here, so we're just doing this pull. This pull is like semi-dangerous since we have one Enforcer and one Lava Bender, but there are no like Tank Buster mobs. So I'm probably going to try and get by without using anything crazy because the next one is double Tank Buster mob. So we just Ardent. I think I would be okay with using Lay on Hands here or just cutting it out. So this, make sure this Enforcer doesn't hit me too much. Okay, so we get that basically with no cooldowns. Next we're fighting this pack, double Flame Render. So I know this is a very dangerous pull. I'm probably going to be willing to Spell Warding. See if I actually do it. So yeah, the first set is already Spell Warding. Since there's two of them, I'm not that confident that Ardent will be enough. So we fight two of them. Spell Warding first set, Bubble second set. And if there was a third set, then it would have been Guardian, but we have cooldowns, so they die. Onto this, so we do double Lava Bender in this route. This pull is not dangerous at all, pretty much. Above 50%, like their melees do kind of hurt. It actually procs my cheat death here. But just be ready to like Word of Glory yourself. And then below 50 is when you want to actually use cooldowns, because below 50 they're going to be pulsing the whole group with damage while meleeing you kind of hard. And you don't want your healers like not going to be focusing you at all. They want to be healing the AoE. This is where I would start rotating cooldowns, so I use Ardent here. Also watch out for sack on your allies, /lay on hands. If you had Spell Ward, this would be a good time to use it too. Technically, like in the last pull, I could have gotten away without Spell Warding, but you know, I didn't know exactly how fast they were going to die, so I didn't have Spell Ward here. So we're on to this boss. P1 is super easy, just hit him and then hit the ads, next D. This dragon, this strategy that we're using here has become kind of popular, so we're walking into this corner here. So the way I manage cooldowns on this dragon is I cool down for the breath, the frontal breath, and then just dodge the tornadoes, I guess. And by dodge, I mean I just stand in this corner and hopefully I'm not in their line. If I end up being in their line, notice I have spell wording coming up pretty soon. Then I would say I need to leave, like I can't stay in this corner anymore. Then I would just spell word myself so I don't get hit by any more tornadoes, and then just walk out after a frontal. So basically I'm cooldowning every frontal. So this is Ardent, and then on every knockback, the Twilight Devastation, I want to put up 100% spell block, so I block it. Or Twilight Buffet. So this is Buffet, I'm going to put up 100% spell block. So I don't randomly get one shot by like knockback into Tornado or something. Then the frontal is 100% spell block again, plus tier or whatever cooldown I'm using. So in this run, this frontal is tier is going to be Ardent again. So I think you can Ardent every other and then just like Ardent into tier, into Ardent, into bubble, into Ardent, into whatever. I think in this run, I end up not needing the spell word to run out, but you will notice like if a tornado ever ticks you, then you're gonna be like, oh shit, I'm kind of scared. That's when you use spell word. You probably can wait a little bit, but like on the next frontal, I would just spell word myself and then run out and then make the group play the fight normally. Hopefully you don't have to do that for too long. Anyway, I ended up not needing it there. So we're near the end of the dungeon. This pull is pretty easy. It's just one Flame Render and one Enforcer. Make sure we cool down the Flame Render. I noticed starting this pull that I don't have Ardent since it's the end of the last boss fight, so we start with Guardian. And then bubble the second Flame Render, surely. Okay, he doesn't even get a second one, but if he did, it would have been bubble. We skip this dragon. You can hug the left here to skip it. These hatchlings used to do a lot of damage to the tank, but they heavily nerfed them. Now it's not so bad, so we double pull here. I actually bubble for aggro because I literally have no aggro generating buttons. This first Faceless Corruptor is good to tank in a line spot. So you notice I'm tanking him like, I'm going to be tanking him like right next to the wall. Especially right when these hatchlings die. So these hatchlings apply a debuff. You can kind of see it here on my frames. That makes everyone take increased shadow damage. And then this guy's Corrupt does shadow damage. So you want to be using sack or spellword or whatever on the corrupt that happens as the hatchlings are dying. So our shaman has like 15 stacks. Doesn't matter that he also walled. I'm also going to use sack on it. This is the most scary of the fight, basically. Also, we could have line of sighted it, but I guess we didn't LOS. So we LOS that one. This one we're going to LOS. We're probably LOSing until he dies. Yeah, we're LOSing until he dies. So this guy cannot be LOS since he's not next to the wall unless you pull him back, which you could, it kind of could, but it's not like that scary where it warrants that time loss, I think, so we don't do it. This roughly FPS. I'm trying to see the run right when the ads died. Actually, we kill the ads at the perfect time, I think. We have 10 seconds on debuff, and the corrupt is in 10 seconds. So we kill them at the perfect time. There's no actual scary one, which is why I probably just use the PS. So now we're on the double corruptor. As a tank, you're really not scared of this pack. Just use like any cooldown at all and you should be fine. This is really scary for your group. When the hatchlings die and two of them are casting corrupt, that's when it's scary. However, we are playing Prot Paladin, so we can spell ward one of the corrupts and hopefully the other one like goes on the DK or something, or someone who can meld. You'll see here the ads are dead. We actually killed him at the perfect time again, I think. The first corrupt will be spell wardable. So I'm waiting for him to target someone, and then it was the DK, so he just shadow melds. Or I guess he just tanks it since he's a DK, but he could have shadow melded it. And then the second one targets the enhance. Could have been spell warding, but no debuff, so no need. So we just save spell warding. Third one, no debuff available. No debuffs around, so we just don't use any cooldowns. I guess we used PS when we had wall up. Not sure about that one, but yeah. Okay, on to this boss. This boss is super easy. As a paladin, you can use Ardent for every single tank buster. And then the rest of your cooldowns are just like for fun, I guess. The ad melees kind of hurt, and sometimes your group is taking a bunch of damage, so you don't want the healer to focus you, but you really only need to use Ardent for every crush, and the rest of your cooldowns can just be free flowing. We bring the boss to the correct place for Shadow Gale. When the ads spawn, we toll. I like to toll very early on the first set because the phase is like slightly less than 1 minute. And you can toll late on the second ad set. So we Ardent this. Don't worry about my health being low. Ardent doesn't even proc, so we don't cheat. Once the ads are in, we use Tier. Sack is pretty useful on this boss. I think I didn't need to use Sack there. Usually you want to Sack like in this phase. Although after the nerf, there's only like 1 or 2, like 1 if the DK means 1. Boss is using Crush. Ardent is back. If Ardent's not back yet, like notice how it's like barely back for me and I have pretty high haste. If it's not back, then you wouldn't need to do a cooldown rotation here. With Bubble. I actually bubbled this one for aggro. But I could have Ardented that. Ardent survives every tank buster. Although do make sure you don't get knocked into a tentacle with your Ardent. These ads meleeing does kind of like start to add up. Also, if you don't Ardent one crush, don't Ardent randomly, like halfway through, like don't use Ardent right now. Because then it won't be back for the next crush, and then you'll be like off rotation, so yeah. If you don't Ardent a crush, make sure you hold Ardent for the next one. Alright, and that's Batol. A lot of people have been asking about this dungeon. Thank you for watching. Peace out.